Looking forward to your presentation.
I'm excited to share some info with you guys.
Yeah. So now, just curious, on when do you normally have your training sessions with Deb DeRule? Did I say it correctly?
Yeah, Debbie Doe rule. Yeah.
Debbie DeRule. Now you know I've been practicing.
Gotcha. So with my team, we meet once a week, as a group, and then I meet with them individually once a week or every 2 weeks, depending on their performance.
Okay. And
Mhm.
so do you basically have to meet with all realtors at one time or another, or that may not be the case depending upon their productivity?
Yeah, it depends. A lot of the new agents that on board, sometimes I'll connect with them, and then depending on my schedule, sometimes I'll set up like an evening, um, you know, kind of Zoom session where people can join. The agents can join if they want to. It's optional. So yeah, there's a couple different meetings.
Awesome,
Some
awesome,
some
awesome.
optional, some training. In this business, it's what you put into it and how much you invest in yourself. So the people that show up, you know, they get the
Very
the
good.
most.
Very good.
Good
Okay.
morning,
We have
Crystal. I remember you.
Good morning.
It's Clivia Parisi.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said, this is Clivia Parisi.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Nice
Yeah, she was
meeting
one of my guests when I came to Nourish to Flourish, where we first connected. So
Yeah,
yeah, she
nice.
remembers you. I
I
think
was so nervous that day.
why? We didn't know. We didn't, the good thing is we didn't know.
you.
That
But that
was
is
funny.
great. That makes you human.
Exactly.
We didn't know. I mean, I think every person that was in attendance remembered you because of your story.
Thank
That
you.
yeah, that took a lot of courage.
Yeah,
That took a lot of was that the first time you spoke about your story in that type of environment?
it was. And I really felt like I zoomed into it. My sister was there and she was like, "You left out so many good parts." I was like, I didn't know how long I could talk. So I just kind of like zoomed through it. So it was nice that people still felt like they got something from it or was encouraged. That was nice.
Very
But
good, very
yes,
good.
that
Because
was the first time I spoke about anything
really,
like that. Hmm.
well, because whatever you left out, why, my goodness, because it could only would have just elevated it. So
Yeah,
very good.
thank you.
Okay. Well, we want to be considerate of your time. Other people will probably start to join.
Hmm.
But I first want to give a short introduction to you. But first, let me explain to you. I think we have spoken a couple times about
Hmm.
um, this type of class. It's all realtors, and we're going through this book. If you can see it, I gotta give you
Hmm.
Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blount. So this has been to me a wonderful experience just to connect with my fabulous referral realtor partners on a weekly basis. We've been at this, oh Lord, I've been keeping track. This is um, chapter 17. So we've been
Oh,
at
okay.
this for 17 weeks.
Wow.
And we have um, uh, 6 more to go. 6 more weeks, six more chapters to go. And then we're done. Then I have a bonus. So I'm thinking about something additional. But I share with you, we're all different uh, tenures, productivity within our respective businesses, but we're all here just trying to learn from one another, and just to improve ourselves. And so
Great.
let's go ahead and I'm gonna we'll start with Miss Young. If you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself, to say your name and the brokerage that you're with.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Sherry
Hi.
Young. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Good
Good
morning.
morning, everyone. I'm Sherry Young, and I am a social broker with Sampson Properties in Arlington, Virginia.
Nice.
Yes, been around about 27 years.
All right. Chanel, you are next.
Good
Chanel,
morning,
are you here? Oh,
everyone. I am Chanel. I'm with Sampson Properties. I've been doing real estate for over 20 years and still having a great time at it.
Nice.
all right. Then we have Harry. He doesn't attend in person, but he sends his virtual note taker in his absence. So, Harry, thank you. And then we have Miss Clivia. Clivia.
I wasn't able to unmute myself. Clivia Parisi, I'm with Sanson's Properties too, and I am 2 years now. Will be June 24th.
Okay, 2 years. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all. And so, like I said, in my little text messages that was sending out, we have Miss Crystal Davis, who is the inside sales manager for Debbie DeRue or Deb.
Debbie Doru Associates. It's
Debbie.
okay.
Okay. Very good. Oh, well, all right. She just came on hand. This is our superstar. Benny, glad you can join us. Benny is the newest realtor within our group. So, Benny, if you wouldn't mind just sharing your name and the broker and how long you've been in real estate.
Hi, yeah, my real name is Benedict, but I go by Benny. I got all my three licenses in December officially. So I've been in real estate for about 6 months.
Nice.
So, and I met Benny. She was introduced me when she was in high school. And she said that she wanted to be in real estate, and she followed back up with me, and I was called a superstar. So she is the person that is the youngest in terms, but she has a lot of energy. So I'm just excited about all the great things that is awaiting for Benny. And it's the Crystal Inside Sales Manager with Debbie Doe and Associates. The brokerage is 35 total members. Crystal is a licensed realtor. She spends the majority of her time training and assisting the agents within their business. And we met at the Nourish to Flourish type of seminar. And what impressed us most was not where she was talking about her business per se, is what she had to overcome from losing weight and being able to get off from, I guess, from her diabetes
Yeah.
medicine. He was type 1,
Type 2 that I was
type 2,
able to
worse.
reverse.
The
Yeah.
reverse, yes. So
Yeah.
we were all just impressed with her story and told from her glowing personality and wonderful smile. I was like, I have to connect with her. I told her I
Thank
would,
you.
and I followed up, and she graciously agreed to just spend some time with us this morning to talk about her work and what she does with realtors that she works with. So, Crystal, the floor is yours.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk to you guys and just tell you a little bit about what I teach and train my team and how we become successful. So, just to give you a little background for me, I was in property management for about 15 years, transferred over into inside sales. So, I've never been an active agent, but The first, impression, unless you're meeting face to face, is over the phone or text message. And that's kind of where I thrive. And that's been my career of the past 5 years. So we really contribute a big part of the team. It is 35 total, including a little bit of admin. Our team for the ISAs is only 4 people, but we are collaborating about 40% of our team's business. So last year we made over 300 million, and the ISAs brought over 100 million of that just from our connections. And even with the 4 of us so far this year, we've set 908 appointments. And so that's about 41 per ISA per month. And are met with, which is the most important because you can talk to people all day long, you can set up appointments, but you want them to actually show up. And I don't know if you guys know the numbers or the statistics for that, but usually it's about 45% across the industry, and we average about 80 to 85%. So our conversion from phone to appointment to actually meeting is pretty high. And so obviously it's our transactions if we're bringing in about 40%. So we have a pretty successful team. And even though we're small, I really encourage everyone to take ownership for your own business. But really, the meat and potatoes is what we are saying on the actual call. So I haven't read the book, but it sounds like from our chat that my style is pretty similar. When I got into the ISA role, I didn't have any experience, and there wasn't a strong training platform at that time because it was a newer role with COVID. So when I got on the phones, there were some scripts that really didn't resonate with my personality. So I just kind of like went rogue and was, talking to people just like I would talk to anyone that I meet in person. And that allowed me to have 4 consecutive years of top performance, top settlements, top appointments because I didn't have this like preset idea of how the phone call should go. So with that experience, I was able to create some sort of framework on what that looks like. And again, it may be similar to what you guys are talking about in a book, but I'll just give you an example. It's really just connection. Like it's really talking to people, building a connection. You're calling people, they're regular people, they have regular jobs, they're doing the same things you're doing in your day to day. So, really, just being intentional about what they need and how you can connect with them based off of your skill setting, your performance, and your value, and really connecting those two. So, that's really, I think, what makes this process great because if you know your value and you guys are the agents, you guys are the experts. Your value, you know your experience, you know what you bring to the table. All you want to do when you get on these calls is connect what they need based off of what you can provide. So I do have a visual that I could share. It's the framework that I train anytime I connect with agents or ISAs. And if you want access to this, I can give this to you. If it's not brand new to you, then you don't need it, that's fine. But I'm gonna send over
Okay, you said to me.
a
Do you
request to
want me to
share.
make you the presenter or?
I just requested to share, so I think if you accept it, it should let me.
All right, hold on.
I should have
Yeah.
sent this over to you, sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, perfect. So starting off super basic. I'm calling them and I'm saying, hey, how are you doing? Very straightforward. A lot of times we get taught to say, hey, this is Crystal with EXP and da da da. But a lot of times you can really interrupt the connection building by not just asking how they're doing and listening to their tone because you can really discover a lot about how you should guide that conversation. If you call someone and you go straight into your background and I'm calling from EXP and Fairfax and all that stuff, you might miss cues that can really help you further the connection. So if you call someone and you say, "Hey, how are you doing?" and they say, "Not that great," you're going to be able to and trust me, we hear that. That probably sounds like no one's actually going to say this. Sometimes they do. Even when a stranger's calling, you say, "How are you doing?" And if they say, not that great, then you kind of can know, like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And just have a very personal touch, very compassionate, and then build trust from that. Or if they say, I'm having a great day, that's wonderful. And then you know that you can kind of add to that, because I learned calling a lot. I'm very bubbly. I'm like, hey, this is Krista. And then I called someone and they're like, yeah, not great. My son just passed. And it stopped me in my tracks. And I was like, oh. And it was hard for me to turn it off, to be honest, because I was so used to just like being on go. Like even between calls, sometimes I listen to music. I'm a big Beyonce fan. So I'm hyped by the time I get on a call. So it was like very weird to like adjust, like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad. And complete transparency, I still went through my emotions like, okay, so tell me what and just like disregarded it because it made me so awkward and I just didn't know how to handle it at the time. And I lost the appointment. Like she was like, yeah, I'm not really interested. I don't feel comfortable. And she hung up on me. And I was like, and if you worked with me, you'll know, hanging up on me, I'm calling back. I don't like, you can hang up on me. You gotta hang up. You gotta block me. Okay. So if you hang up on me, I'm calling you back. So that's what I did. I called her back and I said, hey, listen, I'm gonna be real with you because I'm a real person. I'm gonna be real with you. I totally understand the situation. I'm sorry I didn't respond. It really stopped me in my tracks. I just was honest with her. And then I said, I hear what you need, and we do have the services and the resources, and we can provide the support. And I was able to save the appointment. And ever since then, I was like, I'm going to ask them how they're doing before I get on my roll. So try it out if you don't already do that, and see if it works for you. But that's just the greeting part. Um, the discovery is obviously a big thing. You guys are probably already doing this. But when I talk to the team, I tell them, keep in mind that they are getting called by so many different agents, one, and now we have AI. So a lot of people are being called with the same staple questions. What are you looking for? How many bedrooms? What they get the same questions. So you want to be, you don't want to say like just checking in, all the like textbook things that people say. You really want to ask more discovery questions, very open-ended. When I listen to calls, I hear a lot of like yes or no's. And when you ask someone like, are you looking for this or you're looking for that? Or are you still looking for a home? These are not going to open up and discover more information that you really need from the lead. You want to say, hey, I saw that you were looking at a couple properties. What homes are catching your eye at this time? Very, very different than like, are you still looking for a property? Or yeah, we sent over your property evaluation. I don't know if you have those services. We sent over your property evaluation. What do you think of that? What do what would you do to increase that value? Just a lot of open-ended questions. So we try to avoid the just checking in, try to avoid the yes or no's. And sometimes you can do this or that, but those can really stop the discovery as well. If you say like, are you looking for a condo or are you looking for a townhouse? Maybe they're looking for a single family. So those questions still work, but in my experience, finding if you just leave it all open and pause, let people kind of fill that space, they will tell you what they need. So if I'm calling you and I say, yeah, what homes are catching your eye? And then that's it. I'm letting you talk. And then if you say, oh, I'm not really looking. I'm just browsing. Great. What are you browsing? Oh, I'm just browsing a property that, maybe in Fairfax. Okay, tell me a little bit about that. That's kind of what I'm saying as far as an example. It's just continuous, open-ended, pausing, letting them fill that space. And a lot of times when I get stuck, I'll use the, okay, tell me more. Tell me about that. And then let them really expand it, because if you just take over the conversation, then you're not really going to build the value, which is the next part. You really want to guide the conversation, but you want to let the lead do most of the talking. So for the value section, this goes back to your experience, what you can do. So on the ISAs, we aren't the experts. So you guys are calling as agents, you're the experts. You actually are able to build stronger value because we are just passing it off to the people that are the experts. So
Krista,
for Go ahead.
I'm trying to jump in just in case anyone didn't know, because I'll speak for myself. It's an ISA.
Oh, what is an ISA? Oh, it's inside sales agent.
Okay.
Sometimes they're called client coordinators, client care coordinators. It's inside sales agents. And we're really the first point of contact when people are calling in or submitting online or from Zillow, all of the different platforms that people are searching. And we also have our own IDX site for our company. And then if they call, we don't get a lot of call-ins, but like if they fill out a form or they're searching online, then yeah, I may call you up and say, hey, I see you're looking at 123 Main Street. When do you want to take a look at it?
Okay.
So, we might do that. And then the value comes in. So, if I'm talking to a buyer and they say, I'm just browsing, I don't really know, and I'm discovering enough to learn that this is a first time buyer. If I'm an agent, guess what? I am an expert first time buyer agent. I don't like it doesn't matter how long I've been in the industry, it doesn't matter my experience because I'm building value off of the person I'm talking to right at this moment. Where I think agents struggle, or what I've seen in my experience, is we want to pre-qualify, which that's your prerogative. I understand the value in that, but a lot of people want to pre-qualify a lot, very heavily, and they want to ask all of the criteria questions over the phone. But we know in the business that you have more opportunities, more conversion if you meet them face to face. So I would try to build more value on what you can do and get them set up on the next steps versus spend all of your time on the phone trying to get an idea of if they're pre-qualified, what's going on, what's your financial situation, the specifics on what you're looking for, because we know that if we can get them in front of our face, we're going to have a higher success. So I'm saying, great, you're a first time buyer. That's awesome. Guess what? You probably have a lot of questions. I work with a lot of first time buyers. I'm actually an expert in that. And I have a program. Doesn't even matter if you have a program. They don't know what you do. So you say, I'm actually a first time buyer expert and I have a program that guides you through it, no problems. Then whatever the case is on the value, you want to have a call of action. I know I have objections there, but if you follow the framework, objections going to be very low. That should be like they are really giving you a hard time. They're giving you hard nose, 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 and then you got to pull out the objection. But if you're building the value in this scenario, and I say, okay, first time buyer, great, I'm an expert on it. The next step is, and you go straight into the call of action. And that's where people get super nervous, they get super scared, but you guys are the experts. So it only makes sense that you're guiding them to the next step. Okay, great. Very nice to learn that this is your first time buying. This is super exciting. What I'm suggesting, or what the next step would be, is to meet in person. Let's meet at the office. Let's meet at your home. Let's meet at Starbucks. Let's meet at your favorite coffee shop. That is the next step. Let's meet on Zoom, but you want to be first face to face. So we're asking for the appointment. And then we're defining what happens next. Okay, so we're going to meet. In the meantime, I'm going to gather some properties I think you might be interested in. And then we'll review those when we meet in person. Or I'm going to get some appointments set up. So when we meet on Saturday, we're going to tour a couple of properties. Or I'm going to meet you at the coffee shop and I'm going to bring over some info that can get you started. So when we meet, we'll spend 20 minutes on this and we'll, whatever the call of action is, you're going to, explain what the next steps are. That's going to make them want to come to the appointment because they know once I come there, I'm going to receive something. I'm going to see a home. I'm going to get a list of properties. I'm going to get a list of off markets I won't be able to see on my own. I'm going to get a plan on how to buy because this is my first time. I'm receiving something, so I'm going to show up because you left me on a cliffhanger. Like you left me with next step is I'm going to meet you here and this is what we're going to do then. I'm not going to give you all the information now. And what I find with some agents, especially when you have a lot of experience, we love to talk about what we know. So we spend so much time over the phone giving away all of our value. And then what's the point to me? Because you already told me everything. You already told me everything I needed to do. You already connected me and I'm doing the next steps and I'm not actually meeting with you. So if they say, no, I'm not interested. I'm not ready to do that. I'm not wanting to meet. Okay, no problem. So what I'm going to do next is send you over an email, and that email is going to have, whatever your process is. So we're not leaving it like, okay, I'll reach out to you. I'll call you in a couple weeks. Okay, yeah, no problem. What I'm going to do in the meantime is, and still figuring out a way to connect. I'm going to put you on the listings that's going to send you properties every other day. And I want you to look at those properties and contact me and let me know when you want me to adjust. But I'm going to call you in 2 weeks and then we'll take it from there. So it's taking the initiative, guiding it, but also staying in control and letting them know that you are the experts and they need your help. So that's kind of how we break it down. And for time, I've kind of sped through it, but I do want to see, what your thoughts are. If you guys have questions about this, if you want me to share this, or anything I can clarify in what I explained.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Before I start peppering you with questions that could take forever, does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask for Crystal? Because you did phenomenal job. I mean, just in a short period of time, I have my whole list of questions already. So that was
Thank
good.
you.
Go ahead, everybody. Any questions?
I don't have any questions. I do have a comment. I'm agreeing with what you're saying because the way that real estate is being done these days is a personal connection, and it's not, the traditional sales pitch that we have been taught to
Mhm.
Q&A when we interact with, potential clients.
Yep.
Okay.
And your personality is going to show more in person than over the phone. So it's definitely, something that we're seeing. And I think some people are struggling with the transition because the style that we've been taught has been kind of recycled over and over for so many years. But yeah, the connection is always going to land, especially with AI. I'm not against AI, but AI is taking over in a lot of the text messages. I don't know if you guys heard a lot of the calls that they make. Even sometimes when I'll call, people have AI set up on their phone to answer the call, and it sounds very realistic. So those, avenues that people are adding into their business, it's still not going to compete with you and your personality and your jokes and your energy. So yeah,
Okay.
definitely makes a difference.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
I
I
just
have a
want to
couple.
say that I
Go ahead,
appreciate.
Sherry.
I just want to say I appreciate what you said, and I really feel like when you make that connection, we have to really listen carefully, especially when you ask them how are things going, because
Mhm.
I had a conversation with a lady last week, and she was telling me how she was thinking of selling. She had already bought another property, but her mom was in the hospital, and she didn't have a lot of time to talk right now. So I immediately, just said I could understand. I've been through that, and we had a really good conversation. So I think we really, really, like you said, have to listen and know what their needs are.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And being open too, because you're human. So when you run into something like that and it's something that you can relate to, that's really a good time to build that connection. My mom has progressive dementia, and that is very common. So when I'm talking to people on the phone and they'll say, "Oh, my wife or my husband," or I'm like, "Yeah, I get that. I totally understand that. That's something I'm actually dealing with." And I've had conversations where we're both on the phone crying, but by the time they're ready to sell that house, they will call me. I get emails and contacts, text messages from people I've connected with, and it's not like a tactic that's not sincere. I really do want to help them, and I really can relate, and they can hear that over the phone. It comes across, so the connection is real, and I do want to genuinely help them. So being vulnerable and sharing connections that make sense. And then sometimes they'll say, "I'm not ready to sell. I have so many clothes." I'm like, "Trust me, I got a whole closet room, so I got a lot of clothes too. I get it. And then I'll say, but we actually have resources that helps you with bulk removal or helps you with packing or helps you with closet organization. I know what value we have, so it's easy for me to connect it with whatever their need is, because every person and situation is unique.
Now, I know Crystal, you said 30 minutes, we're at 31. I don't know if you have a couple of more minutes or if you have to jump off, I understand.
No, I have a few minutes. My next meeting is at 10, so I have a
Okay.
few minutes if you have any questions.
This is a couple of questions from your presentation that I picked up just so
Mhm.
we all can understand in terms of how you're able to generate business. For the individuals that you are contacting, are they mostly from leads that you might purchase, or these are internal leads through, I guess, through however that you are able to come up with, where you actually are calling people that you may not have known at all, and they're cold calls?
So it's a mix. So the cold calls, the most like cold calling we do are expireds, and we have a VA that kind of scrub those so we know that those are like newly expired or we kind of know the expiration date. So when I'm calling you, I'm saying, hey, after how you doing? I saw that your listing expired in December. What are your plans? What are your thoughts from that? What happened? You know, so those are probably the coldest calls. We do have Zillow. That's pretty much the only other platform other than our website. So we have two IDX sites that are DDA front facing for search, and that's where we get a lot of our leads. And then we also recycle the clients we already have. If your client closed and they bought a condo 10 years ago, they may be looking to get a townhome or a single family. So I'm contacting them. Hey, thanks for working with us a couple years ago. So you've been in your condo. What updates are you making? What are your plans in the next year or so? So, I mean, leads are everywhere. We also have Facebook. That's a free source. So we post some of our listing on Facebook and people reach out to us and we'll set appointments from there. So pretty much a little bit of everywhere. In my experience, I can't say that anything is more stronger than the other. I really do think it's hard to get people on the phone. So once you get them on the phone, that's why you have to really make sure that you are building the connection, building that value, and telling them what the next step is. Because it doesn't matter what source, everybody could drop the ball on wherever the source comes in.
Okay. And then lastly, how many calls do you typically make on a daily basis, if you guess it?
So, so we do have different tenure on our team as well, and everybody experience is different. So we have one agent. I'll talk about the top two. We have one agent that will make about 160 something calls, and then we have another agent that'll make 60 calls. And the one that makes 60 calls have the most appointments. So it's really the conversion, what you are doing in those calls. You can call 50 people and the same 10 people that answer the phone, you can set one appointment, you can set none. It really depends on how you're having that call. And the our top performer, actually, she's breaking records. She's only been with us for 6 months. She's 22, no experience, just very hungry. She took the framework, applies it, and she is now the most successful ISA we've ever had. So it really just depends on those calls once they answer and just really being intentional about making the most out of that call. So you don't have to call 200 people a day. You just have to make sure that the people that answer, you are, trying for an appointment. And I tell the team, we ask for appointment every single time. Every time you talk to someone, you should be asking for appointment. And then when they say no, then you have a fallback. Okay, what I'm gonna do is, and you have that next call of action. But every person I get on the phone, it's hard to get people to answer and actually have a conversation. You know how many times I get hung up on? So when you get someone on the phone that is actually engaging with you, ask for an appointment every single time. It shouldn't feel weird if you built the value. It shouldn't feel out of place if you built the value. You should be excited to ask for an appointment because it makes sense. You've already guided the call enough that the next step is to meet with me. It just makes sense. You know what I mean? And let them tell you no. and then you have a follow-up plan. Okay, no problem. I'm gonna do this, do that.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Well, again, if there's that's what any other questions from anybody?
What I'll do in the chat is I'll drop my email. So if you think of anything and you want to connect one-on-one, just let me know. I'm not one of those like trainers that charge people to help. I'm like abundance. So I'm like always willing to share what I know, my experience, answer any questions. If you ever want to connect, you feel free to reach out.
Okay.
Cool. All
Okay.
right. Thanks for
Crystal,
your time.
thank you so much. Thank
Bye,
you.
Crystal.
Thank you. You are awesome.
Thank you, Crystal.
Okay. Okay. So what did you think of Crystal?
I loved Crystal.
What a beautiful
She was
personality.
wonderful.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
wonderful.
The
Yeah.
one
And
time I'm
then,
late, I missed the really. Look. I caught the tail end, and I thought she was really good.
all right. So on this one, I made certain this is being recorded. I'll immediately send out the recording. So of course you have the opportunity to listen to it again. Um, but as awesome as her presentation was with us, when we first connected, she didn't talk about her business or anything. For those of you that recall, she just talked about her struggles with weight and type 2 diabetes. That's all what she spoke about. And based on that, I said, wow, she probably definitely, is someone that we need to really to bring on and just talk with us. And so this is the first time I've actually had her, had opportunity to hear her speak about her work, but it was her story that connected me. It was her story, what she had to endure to lose weight, still losing weight, and I guess reversing type 2 diabetes. So I thought that was awesome. Um,
Was it the real estate event that she was telling this? Where was she telling
yeah,
her? Oh,
yeah. Do you remember I sent you? I know in fact I invited you all to that Nourish the Florist event.
oh, yes.
Event, yeah, and she was a panelist. And that's what she spoke about. She didn't talk about any business. She talked about her struggles with what she had to overcome. And that was the whole basis for Nourish to Flourish. Yeah, it was nothing about really business per se, but all of the obstacles that we as individuals have to overcome in order to be successful within our business. Okay. Um. Okay. Yeah. I'll probably. Yeah. Yeah, I would just encourage everyone to, if you have an opportunity to re-listen to her presentation. Um. I think it's definitely going to be a benefit. Of course, she used a lot of jargon. Me as a loan officer, I was not aware of. I said, I'm going to go ahead and ask anyway, just so I'll know, and it's sort of just opened my eyes to how this brokerage of 35 people are able to generate this amount of sales. And then if you think if you feel that having her come and speak again, I have no problem asking for her to come in, because she gave a lot of information, and if she doesn't have any problem with sharing the information, I have no problem asking, just so that each of you can benefit more and learn more. Okay. All right. If there's no other questions regarding what Crystal spoke about, we got 20 minutes. And so I'm going to try and sort of piggyback on what she spoke about. And there's a couple of things that I want us to be mindful of, because one of the things that I'm looking at is we got 6 more weeks to go, and I want us to finish strong. And then, of course, with our consistency. So those are the things that I'm going to be focusing a lot more is consistency and finishing strong. Um, Today's session, I'm going to go through relatively quickly because it's not really impacting us that much. Today's session is from chapter 17, and it's the secret lives of gatekeepers. Um, does anyone should be what is a gatekeeper? Anyone recall what is a gatekeeper? Does anyone encounter a gatekeeper? We as loan officers, we always, well, say always, but we do encounter a gatekeeper. A gatekeeper, for those of you who know, is someone. It's just no one has a title called a gatekeeper, but titles that you can actually come across is most commonly a receptionist, sometimes an office manager, or someone that typically picks up the phone, or if you go in person, they are the ones that is going to be your first line that you have to try to get through in order to speak to a decision maker. My first dealings with gatekeepers was many years ago when I was selling copiers. I had a territory, and the classic area was downtown Silver Spring. And we would have to go knock on doors to offices, law firms, mortgage loan officers, dentists, wherever, anybody that had a copier we would try and meet with. And so when we would go into these buildings, of course, we had on the traditional suit and tie, and we would try to blend in. But needless to say, you see these young men come across with a with like a portfolio or something like that, looking at a marquee, and obviously we must have had salesperson written on our foreheads, and the person, on the ground floor of the office building would stop us and say, "Do you have an appointment? Who are you going to see?" That was one gatekeeper that we would try our best to overcome. The next one was when we would actually go knock on the door. They would have nose soliciting, and we would just go on in anyway. And then we would speak to someone at the front desk, and we would try to find out, ask questions about their copier, and to see who was the person that's responsible for the procurement of copiers and all that. And so we had to deal with gatekeepers on a regular basis. So on my side, as a mortgage loan officer, we deal with gatekeepers. Similar, there's always an agent if you want to try to go in person and try to talk to realtors, which we don't do as much anymore because very few realtors work in an office. But you always have an agent that is on call that's working at the front desk. So that's one person that we always try and overcome. So, do you ever run across any gatekeepers at all from some of the decision makers that you might be trying to contact as realtors? Anybody?
So I look at it kind of differently. I see it from the standpoint that you're saying, but also to me, gatekeepers are people who keep all the information to themselves. They never want to share because they feel like you're going to get ahead of them, or it's going, they work from a mindset of scarcity, so they don't want to help others. So to me, you see a lot of that form of gatekeeping in real estate versus, getting to people. It's just people not willing to share.
That's interesting. That is a different take on it. Thank you for sharing, because you would think someone use Crystal as an example. You would think someone like her, where she is employed by a team, where she might be one that wants to hold on to all this information that she developed, and she's like, no, give me a call. She comes from a position of abundance. Yeah, she wants to just share it. That is awesome.
And that's how you flourish, when you share.
There you go. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. Um, how many of you have tried or in the process of trying to speak with someone regarding referrals? I don't know if anybody you tried to speak with uh, relocation companies or companies that specialize in REOs. Did any of you ever attempt to go after that type of business? No? Okay. Because that I was thinking about that you might run across individuals where you can definitely run across a gatekeeper and say, okay, what do you want? What are your attention? Oh, you're just another realtor, trying to tell me how great you are and everything else. So they're like, yeah, that may not, no, we'll just take your information and then we'll call you back. That's where she's at. Because in this chapter, I'm gonna go over real quickly what is they call it the 7 keys for dealing with gatekeepers. And I was going through, I was like, well, this is fairly explanatory. I'll go over these real briefly. Be likable, use please, 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 be transparent, be honest, and the word that Krista used over and over, connect. Try to make that connection with the gatekeeper. Hold the cheese. In other words, you don't want to be too cheesy. Just be honest. That's what I said. Hold the cheese. Number 6 is ask for help. And change the day. Change the game. Call early or call late. And try to be more social. Leverage the social ability. Leverage your social ability. Um, So those really are, I thought, were the main items for gatekeepers, but I didn't think that we would have that many contacts, which is one of the main reasons why I thought having Crystal speak today would be a great replacement in lieu of the chapter. Now, one of the items that I wanted to go over this time, I'm going to share my screen because I know over the past couple of weeks, we've gone through a lot of information. I've been sending handouts and everything else. So I wanted to try and just take a couple of minutes and just to go over these items and just to see if there's any questions, because I will admit there has been quite a lot of information. All right. If everybody can see my screen, I just titled, this is just a table. I put major prospecting topics. Last week, June 8th, it was chapter 16. Turning around RBOs, reflex responses, brush offs, and objections. Did anyone have an opportunity to utilize any of the techniques that were used from chapter 16 and or any of the information from the handouts? Or you just saw it, so okay, Fred, I have it. It's nice. When I get ready to make calls, then I'll pull them out. Anybody? Okay. Then on May 18th, it was chapter 14, message matters. where I sent out another set of handouts where it gives an idea in terms of the type of messaging that we are using, whether we're trying to set an appointment from either a buyer or a seller. Just again, some examples for you to use regarding the type of message that we are portraying. And then, of course, May 11th, we talked about social selling, how we can utilize our social media to be able to sell. And with social media, of course, it's all about connection. It's all about being able to connect with those individuals. I know there was a lot of information shared with them, and then from April 11th, chapter 10 was prospecting pyramid, where we put together that pyramid and we put together on a daily basis where we should be uh, following up with. And just to let you know, that was one of the things that I enjoyed the most. Um, I still have my pyramid, and I do my best to try to stay with it. Where Monday calling past clients, Tuesday referral partners, Wednesday sphere of influence, Thursday leads, and Friday cold prospecting, where we call in our cold calls. And then, of course, the prior weeks we talked about our production. What are we doing in terms of the amount of leads that we're supposed to be getting, how we're getting those leads, um, and to track how well we are doing. So let me stop here and just see if there's any questions about any of this information that we just shared from the prior topics, and just to see where you are now. Is it becoming overwhelming, or Fred, I got this, or you're like, are you feeling that you're behind, or just trying to gauge where you're at? Because for me, we're all in this together. We really are. We are all in this together. Anybody?
I think it's a matter of looking at the information that's been provided, selecting, one or two things, depending on your capacity, and implementing those things, because there's too much to commit to everything. And that's how you can get, really overwhelmed with what's going on. So just like the pyramid is a great tool. I mean, to use that and reference that, it would be helpful in anyone's business. I mean, all the information that we're covering is really good, but what can you apply to your business now that will make an impact or difference, to get you the desired results that you want? Because you definitely can't do all of it. And I think sometimes people do get overwhelmed because it is a lot of information.
It is. You're right. And you hit it right on the head. For me, do I use all of the techniques that we have gone over? No. But there's a couple of things that I try to be consistent at from listening to that video from Dr. Miles Monroe. This, yeah, I changed my whole week around this. Mondays, past clients Tuesday. So I do my best to stay on top of that. And for me, my engagement has increased. It has. My engagement, because I'm not trying to do it all on one day. To me, it's like, wow, this makes sense. Just one day you deal with your past clients, your referral. And so to me, it made it easier because I'm more organized. I'm not trying to do it all every day of the week. Just do one day you do this, one day that, and it has made a difference. I don't know if the prospecting heavens just opened up and it came down, but yeah, my business has really benefited a lot by just focusing on those items. What I have to try to be more consistent at is increase my social selling and my um, presence. But in terms of me staying in contact with people, including you, yeah, that has done well. Um, let me talk to Miss Benny. How has it been going with you in terms of how you've been trying to organize your day and your week and your prospecting?
Still trying to get it down by the hour, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, it is a lot, and you have to be intentional about it, and it's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, just think about um the inside sales agent making 60 calls. That is a lot. Every day you're on it. You're on it. You're making the calls. You're making the calls. You're making the calls. But in the long run, it works. You may not see it immediately, but over time, through consistency, like anything else, you will start to see the difference.
I have a question. Um, for example, if we are showing houses and we need to be organized, and I know this is part of our job, but it is to me as a newer agent, I'm trying to figure out I cannot make 60 calls, maybe not every day, not even the 10, because you are showing houses, and yes, you make the calls, but like on the daily basis, it's doesn't matter how organized you are, like they are other things, other part of our jobs that need to be taken care of. And I really enjoy this class and love what we are getting. We have different tools, and I'm just repeating exactly what you and Chanel was saying. It's just cannot do it all, but we have so much. And not praising you and Crystal, but what she has said, I took notes, and I have notes because and I go back to it. What can I implement today? And then I made my daily routine, because everything cannot be done every day. Even if you make 5 calls a day because you the rest of the day you are out showing houses, you make 5 calls. If you make two, if you text like in between showing houses. So this is what I'm getting from this. I can do
Absolutely.
better, of course, but it's like it is impossible to implement absolutely everything and then make 160 calls. Maybe that's the only job they have. Our job is like I have to create postcards, um, open houses, flyers, and all that takes time. So I'm working.
Well, and I guess that's where we started out, and that's what the writers spoke about as well. And that was one of the things that I learned early on. When you first start in sales, you have activities that we all do. Some activities are income producing, other activities are not income producing. And for us as salespeople, and I know it's tough, and I'll be the first one to admit it, it is not easy to try and segregate it. But that's where time blocking comes in. And when you think about it, where should you spend the majority of your time? Income producing activities. And that's tough when you first start because you have to do so much. As you get more business, then you can hire people on board and then they'll take care of your non-income producing activities. But the key that I've been trying just to share with you, consistency. If you are consistent, my friend, in making 5 calls, whatever, it's better than making 0 calls. You have to start somewhere. Then over time, as you become more proficient, then it's only going to increase. But you got to start. You're not going to be perfect. Of course not. No one's perfect. But as long as you are starting and being consistent, that's what's going to build your growth. Make sense?
Yes, totally.
Yeah, just be consistent at it. Whether it's 1 or 2 calls, be consistent at it. And that's what I'm doing. I'm being consistent with what I can do. And some days I might make only 1 or 2 calls. I'll be honest with you, yeah. But I'm gonna try my best to be consistent at doing that. And and to me, the best example is water. When you're in a stream, streams have droughts. You have a lot of rainfall, a lot of not rainfall. But over time, if when that water continues to go over that little rock, you'll start to see an indentation on that rock. It won't happen for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, whatever. But over time, it's the consistency of that water keep coming down, and eventually there's going to be an indentation in that rock. And that's where we need to be at. Just be consistent at it. Just be consistent. Does anyone else have a comment to help Clivia?
I think too, a lot of times it's we have snares because sometimes we get stopped or whatever, and then we're like, it's hard to get back focused. But I think, especially when you sent the little pyramid, I think that gives you something to focus on. And then we have to figure when we have a snare or something, how to get back on track. And then we got to remember that when we do have something, we have to remember to follow up. And sometimes I get sidetracked and I forget. And then I have to really get back on track, focus, and follow up, keep following up. And that's one thing that helps me.
Amen. Very good. Okay. Okay. Well, it's 10:03 a.m. I thank you all for your time. Today for me, I have a whole list of past clients that I need to follow up with. And then one of the things I picked up from Crystal is don't use things like checking in. And I've done that all the time. I'm like, oh, Fred. So I'm thinking, man, so I got to find a way to make more open-ended questions instead of me just checking in, just asking, I see the kids are just doing things. So, yeah, just ask more open questions. So today for me, it's past clients, and then we just keep going for the rest of the week. Any other comments or questions? You have a question, Sherry? Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your day. Let's make it a great week and look forward to continuing talking with you and look forward to seeing you next Monday. Thank you again.
Thanks, Fred.
Thanks, Fred.
Thank you.